Hey folks, this is Chris Miller, Black Up in Your Face again with some more pro-black commentary. So I had a caveman come to my channel the other day, and I just happened to be, I can't remember what, I was just relaxing that day when I saw the comment. I was just looking through my email and I saw this comment on there and it had me laughing. And this person is hilarious. This is pure caveman comedy. And I'm just going to talk about some of the stuff that he said on my channel. Now, first of all, he came to the video that I made about last Friday, where I talked about Serena Williams hating the way her white husband smelled, and apparently that got this particular devil upset, and actually got a lot of them upset because I got more dislikes than I normally do, and I think it's because uh, these white guys, they don't like that, or white people in general, they don't like when you talk about the way they smell because they know it's true. And that's the funny part about all the things that this devil says in his comments. At no point has he denied, did he even try to deny or refute what I had to say about that. But let's read a little bit of what this devil says because I'm going to show you guys where his mindset is and where this nonsense comes from. Because he's an old school white supremacist. I'm talking about Confederate flag waving, and he actually believes in the nonsense that the Nazis and people like the Thule Society put forth about them being the superior race. And he even goes into some fantasy stuff as well. But I want to let's read a little bit what he says. First, he calls himself Robert E. Lee, the old devil who lost the Civil War and had to surrender because he was a bitch. But he calls himself Robert E. Lee. And like I said, white supremacists themselves are perpetual losers. They live in substandard housing. They have a substandard education system. They eat garbage. They do all types of ridiculous drugs and opioids and everything else. So worshiping a loser like Robert E. Lee or Adolf Hitler is just, par of the course. But he comes on my channel and he says, "Hey, Mr. Chris N-word Miller," and I'm going to use I'm going to say N-word instead of the word he actually uses because not because I'm afraid to say the word, but because YouTube will take my channel down for me repeating what this devil says. But you notice they let his comments stay the way they are. So he says, "Hey, Mr. Chris N-word Miller, if whites were so animal-like when you found us in the Caucasus Mountains, how did we survive in the cold ice ages? We would, I guess what he means is we would have gone extinct. But he says we would gone extinct because only smart, resourceful, and clean people can live in those environments. You stupid N-word, answer me that." And like I say, when I first read that comment, I laughed for a good 5 minutes because there's so much bullshit in it, and it's so funny that the fact that he got so upset and had to come at me like that. But I just basically told him, I was like, listen, I mean, he asked me how did they survive in the ice age. I was like, well, the same way rats and roaches survive since the dawn of time. Vermin always find a way to live, and that's the truth. Rats and roaches have been here since the age of the dinosaurs. So I have no, I know that vermin can survive catastrophic situations, no matter how the earth changes, and they might still be here in some form or fashion. And devils like Robert E. Lee are vermin. That's why when they show up on my channel, it's like an infestation. I gotta spray them down with some Raid or something. So he tries to come back. You know how white people think they're so smart with some of their comebacks. They have such a high IQ. But he says that's apple and oranges. Human beings are not rats. And I said, you are right. Humans are not rats, but you are not human. So that's how the analogy fits. And here's where he goes off into outer space somewhere, and he starts regurgitating a lot of these white conspiracy theories that white people actually come from this super race of humans of Atlantis. No, I'm not bullshitting, and no, I'm not making things up here, folks. This is actually a philosophy that a lot of white supremacists have, that they are part of some uber race. That's why they call it the uber mensch, or the Superman, that existed on Atlantis, and how the Atlanteans ruled the world. So we was kangs of Atlantis, huh? That's what this caveman is saying here, that we was kangs of Atlantis years ago. Here's his exact quote. He said, "You are right. We whites are so evolved, we are ubermensch. That is why in prehistory, when white Atlanteans ruled the entire world, the colored Aborigines thought we were gods." Yeah, yeah, folks. This is the, and like I said, you guys are probably looking at me or thinking that he's just spouting some ridiculousness. But this is a very old philosophy. This is a very old mindset. The Nazis thought this as well. That's why you had so many Nazis that were into occult knowledge and into occult mysticism. That's why they sent their uh, philosophers and scientists and soldiers all over the world trying to look up this type of stuff. And they thought they could find it at the North Pole, or that they could find Atlantis um, in Scandinavia somewhere. They even looked in certain parts of the Red Sea and everything else for this type of knowledge, thinking that they could prove once and for all that whites were this highly evolved race of superhumans. I'm sorry, I can't. It's hard for me to even say it without laughing. But it is, and you've seen this a lot in popular culture. You see it in like those Indiana Jones movies. You see it in popular comic books, like this picture I'm putting up here of this is from Danger Girl. Anyone who's ever read this, from like the late 90s, early 2000s. But that was these bad guys. That was their whole plot as well. They were former Nazis, and they were looking for the lost treasures of Atlantis so they could return back to their Ubermensch lifestyle and heritage. So that's why I'm using this picture right now. This is what they think they are, by the way. And this is what they think that they come from. And you see it even in some of their films, like that movie Conan the Barbarian. I might do a review of that where I show you guys the symbolism behind that movie. But let's go back to this devil right here. Another funny part is he mentions by name the radical home goddess, because apparently he doesn't like her either, because he says all that she and I do is get online and we talk down and talk bad about white people. And he asks, like, what? Said, do you have something against white people? I guess you could say that. I mean, you guys are a constant source of comedy for me and a constant source of stress. But I mean, I'm just telling the truth on here, folks. I'm just reading stories and repeating the facts. So I don't see what he's so upset about. But in his response to talking about the greatness of his Atlantean brotherhood and his Atlantean heritage, I had to say that I said to him, white Atlanteans ruled the planet, huh? No wonder the continent sank. Must have been work of that high IQ that you guys always talk about. And he tries to rebut again, and this is the last part of it, folks. So don't get too excited. But this is the last part of it. He says that, yeah, my race has a high IQ. He spelled high wrong. He says, and yours has the lowest. And he has such a high IQ, but he spelled it the wrong way. But I said, yes, I know. The meth and the opioids must be good brain food. Yeah, you can see how high their IQ is just by all the things that he typed here, folks. I'm sure Robert E. Lee